what is visual rhetoric? For that matter, what is rhetoric? Well, it depends who you ask. If you ask the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, he'd say that rhetoric is the faculty in each case to see the available means of persuasion. But he'd say it in ancient Greek. But contemporary rhetoricians say that rhetoric isn't so much about persuasion as it is about making meaning. It's like Carolyn Miller talks about in A Humanistic Rationale for Technical Writing. Words are not windows to meaning. Language is not neutral. Any use of language is rhetorical. The same is true of images. Any use of an image in human communication is rhetorical, even pictures. It's kind of like what Chomsky says about news. Even if you're reporting the facts, someone chooses what facts to report. Even if you're taking a real picture, someone has to point the camera. Someone decides what the picture is taken of. Okay, so visual rhetoric is how images create meaning, or how creators and audiences work together to create meaning through images. Let's look at a few examples. Check out this ad by Heinz. It's a ketchup bottle, but it's made up out of sliced tomatoes. The message here is pretty clear. Heinz is a natural product, possibly even good for you. Tomatoes are good for you, right? Of course, whether or not Heinz is an all-natural product or is actually good for you is up for debate, but that seems to be the meaning the creators of this ad want the readers to make when they see it. Okay, so how do we apply visual rhetoric to online identity? Well, let's take this video as an example. Now, the visuals are pretty sparse. It's just me and my plain gray background here, but there's a reason I teach dressed like this and not like this. As much as I love cosplay, and I am particularly fond of this one, the visual rhetoric of my basic teaching uniform is very different from the visual rhetoric of the grand galloping gala gown. When I record these videos, I wear a little bit of makeup, sometimes a bold lip color, nothing too daring. I wear the makeup, I might wear a blazer or a nice blouse to signify professionalism. I might throw in some jewelry there as well, but if I was teaching a face-to-face class, you'd know that I'm wearing jeans underneath the blazer, because I want to signify that I'm also casual and approachable. Essentially, I'm hoping you respect me as an expert in my field and as your teacher, so I wear a few cultural markers of professionalism, but I'm also hoping you won't be afraid of me if you need to ask for a deadline extension. You might be thinking that in including the Pinkie Pie cosplay in this video, I've totally destroyed any ethos I might have gained through my consistent visual branding through what you might call my professor cosplay. To that I'd say, well, first, I hope not, but second, I also included the Pinkie Pie cosplay in the video to send a visual message as well, to indicate that, like you, I'm a person with interests and hobbies outside of the classroom as well. And maybe I'm trying to challenge those stereotypes of what a college instructor with a PhD looks like. I'm already not an old white guy with grizzled gray hair who smokes a pipe and wears tweed blazers with elbow patches, though I really do love tweed blazers and elbow patches. So the inclusion of the Pinkie Pie cosplay was also used to plant a tiny seed that while this and this is what a college professor looks like, well, this is what a college professor looks like too. I make these choices deliberately to send very particular visual messages with particular meanings. And that's a big point about visual rhetoric. Any sort of human-generated visual involves choice, and those choices mean something. So that's visual rhetoric in a nutshell. Next up, watch the other two videos linked in this module that talk about how different creators use visual choices to create meaning.